All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's session. I'm Lauren Swissman, and I'll be presenting today with Amy Fosak. It's nice to see many familiar faces as we reach the end of this summer professional development series. It's been great getting to know some of you over the chat, and I am excited to present one of our last sessions today with playlists in Canvas. If you would like to follow along with today's session, you can go to the bit.ly link on this first slide here. It is bit.ly/Canvas playlists, and that's playlists with an S at the end. It's all lowercase. A few things to go over, which I'm sure you have heard before. This is a 1-hour training that includes our webinar, time for questions, and work time with the remainder time. If you have questions during today's webinar regarding the topic, please use the chat feature. If it's something just personal to you, feel free to private message either Amy or I, or shoot us an email at edtech@powayusd.com. We will be recording today's session, and it will be posted within 48 hours on the Canva Professional Development Flyer. Lastly, you can find many resources related to virtual teaching on the POSD Virtual Teaching Resources site, which is linked below. I just want to address something I saw in the chat this morning. It seems that some people are having trouble at Poway High possibly accessing their Canvas course this morning. To follow along with what we're doing today, you do not need to necessarily be in Canvas. Much of what we're doing, we're just demoing, and then there'll be links so that when you are able to get back into Canvas, you can access everything right there. All right, let's go ahead and go over today's agenda. The first thing we're going to do is go over something called the Rich Content Editor. Then we'll go ahead and go over the playlist overview. So just reminding ourselves, what is a playlist, what is it not, and how we can kind of make sure that we're setting up great playlists in virtual learning. We'll go over 3 different examples of playlist formats within Canvas, and then the remainder of the time will be for questions and answers and to apply what we've learned. All right, so this first thing is the Rich Content Editor, and you may have heard about it in other sessions over the last 2 weeks. This is a really exciting new tool. At least I'm very excited about it. I think it has really enhanced my use in Canvas, and it makes the usability and all those features for customizing your course a whole lot easier. So if you would like directions, you can click right here in the bottom of the slide where it says directions. But I'm going to quickly show us what the Rich Content Editor is. So I'm going to go ahead to our Canvas course we'll be using today to demo things in. And in this course, you might notice, as let's say I go to assignments and I make a new assignment, that this toolbar up here looks a little bit different than the toolbar you may be used to in your Canvas course. This is because I have turned on the Rich Content Editor. Now, rather than have a sidebar on the right side that lets me upload images or videos or external links, I have everything right here, and I can quickly click on what it is that I want. Do I want to link something, add an image, add media, document, or external tool? Let's do an image as an example. When I hit image here, I can choose from course images that I've used in the past. I can upload an image, and this is my favorite feature here, that drag and drop. I used to have to kind of scour through my files to find the one that I want and go through a couple other clicks to get that image in here, whereas now I can just simply drag and drop. So if I have something on my desktop, I can drag it into here, hit submit, and it's automatically into my assignment or page. So it's just a little bit more intuitive with the features with the Rich Content Editor. There's also other features you can do with the table now. You can do more customization with colors. It just makes it a bit more easier to use. You can upload or record media here, and you can record yourself really easily with a webcam or just your mic here and put it automatically in here. So lots of different features. I could keep going on with this forever, but I just wanted to show you this to begin with. So if you're wondering, why does her Canvas course look a little bit different than mine? That is because we've turned on the rich content editor. And again, directions for how to do this are in that slide, but essentially you just go to settings. I go to feature options and I turn on RCE enhancements.
And if you're changing this in your course, it's at the course level, so students would have the same view when they go into your course.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Lauren, do you mind quickly showing the HTML looks a little different? Can you show where that is with the new rich content editor really quickly, please?
Sure. Let's go ahead back to our assignments. So if I'm in an assignment, oh, that's not a good example to show. Let me go to another one. Okay, let's go to our home page. If I'm going to go ahead and click edit, the HTML editor is now down here. So I click this, switch to HTML, and it's here. And again, if I want to make it a larger or smaller view screen, I can do that here. My HTML editor is now down here. And external tools are right here as well. Just looks a little bit different. Any other questions about the RCE?
I think we're good.
Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and head back over to our slide deck. Okay, we're going to start by saying, what are playlists, right? Reminding ourselves of this. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Amy.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, Lauren, I was just answering a question in the chat. Okay, so we know that some of you are familiar with playlists and some of you this may be a little new to. So we're going to just do a quick overview of what are playlists and kind of why would you use them and what are some things you take into consideration when using playlists within your classroom. So playlists are a collection of resources and activities, right? The tasks on a playlist are designed in such a way that students can learn at their own pace, level, time, and often have choice in product. So what they're doing is they're producing evidence of their learning, but they're getting choice in how they do that. So this allows teacher the flexibility to work one-on-one or in small groups with students, as well as increase in student engagement because they're getting choice in what they're choosing. A lot of the times when we look at playlists, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming because you think, oh my goodness, I have to provide choice in all of these areas for students. But you don't. You can choose choice in giving students choice in how they learn the content. You can give student choice in the product they're showing you. So you don't have to do it all in one. You can, but you can also just give them choice in how they're learning or how they're showing their learning. There are different formats that playlists can take. So on the left-hand side, you'll see that we've just put a few formats up there. So you could do a tic-tac-toe playlist where maybe all the students have something in the middle that they must do. And then the other choice to make tic-tac-toe is given to them on the assignments that you put on the board. There's another format where it's immerse, explore, and create. There's the category playlist, or the bingo board playlist. And there are many others out there. These are just 4 examples that we commonly see used at all levels in the classroom. Okay. Another way of looking at playlists is providing choice to students. So when you're providing choice to students, as I had said previously, with choice in how they learn or how they show their learning, you can also do the same with tech. Right? So you can do same task with different tech. So an example is I'm having the students retell the story from another character's point of view. They can then use video, they can show me in a cartoon, or they can use a Google Drawing. The next example would be different task, but same tech. I want them all using iMovie. They can choose to show me a book recommendation, a trailer, or an interview. Then I can choose to do different tasks and different tech. So I'm telling the students, now you're going to complete a task below with a tool of your choice. You can do a book recommendation, you can do a trailer, or you can do an interview and use the tool of your choice. So again, just 3 different options of how you can integrate the tech with the task when designing a playlist for your students. Lauren, any questions on that so far?
We are good to go, Amy, thanks.
Okay. So here are some considerations when deciding on how to share your playlist. So when you're looking at how am I going to put this playlist into Canvas, there are some considerations that you should take. So first, what is going to be your home base for where the playlist will live? Are you embedding it on a page? Are you making it into a module? Or are you creating it as an assignment? This is really something to also take into consideration when you're thinking about how will you grade your playlist and give students feedback, right? If I am saying to myself, okay, I know that I'm going to use SpeedGrader for everything my students do, I maybe don't want to choose an assignment for everything on the playlist, because then when I go into SpeedGrader, if students were only completing 3 out of the 5 assignments, I'm going to have to give them an excuse on those other 2 assignments. So maybe I'm deciding if I'm using SpeedGrader for all of my assignments, I'm going to push my playlist out as 1 assignment, and I'm going to have students choose 3 different proof of learning evidence to upload into 1 assignment on Canvas. So I'm giving them 1 grade for their entire playlist. Again, you have to figure out what works for you and how you're going to have that home base for where the playlist will just live. The next is decide on the tools that students will use. Are they going to be embedded within Canvas, or are they external tools? If they're external tools, again, then you're going back to how are my students sharing those external tool products with me? Are they uploading them into their assignment in Canvas, or are they putting them on a playlist slide deck? And we're gonna go over some of these different options, excuse me, but just some things for you to consider when you're building these playlists. And then finally, decide how student work will be submitted. Again, 1 upload in Canvas, screenshots and links on a Google slide deck, etc. So now let's kind of dive into what those different playlist options will look like. We're gonna go over 3 options. So the first one is Canvas assignment. The next will be the Google LTI assignment. And finally, building a playlist in modules. So we're going to first go over now the Canvas assignment. So if I'm in Canvas and I'm deciding, okay, I want to put my playlist as an assignment. So I've already decided that for me, my way of collecting work is students will do 1 upload at the end of the week with all of their evidence of learning. So the way I would do that is I would build my playlist in either a Google Slide or a Google Doc. I'm going to go in and I'm going to create my assignment, and I'm going to name it playlist for, let's just say 9-2. So for the week of 9-2. And again, I'm going to now embed that Google Doc or Google Slide. Here's my new rich content editor. So I'm looking for the plug. I'm going to click on here, and some of you, again, this is familiar too. I'm going to go down to my Google Drive. My Google Drive will open because Canvas will work seamlessly, but it is not doing that right now. So what will pop up is my Google Drive. I will click on, let's try it one more time and see if it will play nice. I will click on the assignment, so the doc or the slide deck that I want to embed. And it's not playing nice. And it will pop up. So let me show you what that looks like. I have a sample in here for you. So here's what my playlist with student work upload would look like. So students see this. You must choose 1 activity from each column. So each one of these have a different point value. So I would just total the points because it's 1 from each column. So they can, some examples include they're going to watch a screencast on and take Cornell notes on the Constitution, the legislative branch, and how a bill becomes law, or they're going to read from the textbook and then take their notes. So they have two options. So at the end of the week, they're going to upload their Cornell notes. Then they're going to choose from the next column, which is watch these videos and then respond to the link, or now create a Kahoot or game on the Bill of Rights or the Constitution. Again, end of the week, they're choosing one of these from this column to upload. And then finally, they're going to either write a response to the essential question, should the Supreme Court justices continue to have life term limits, or listen to the article promoting the Second Amendment and then write a response. So at the end of the week, the students are uploading all 3 of those assignments that I have given them on their playlist, but they do have choice within this playlist. So when I go to SpeedGrader, if I choose this model for sharing my playlist, which is playlist with student work upload as an assignment, in SpeedGrader, I'll be giving my students 1 grade. So it would be their grade from the playlist for the entire work week with 3 work samples. Lauren, any questions on using the playlist as an assignment?
We're good to go.
Okay. So then we'll go ahead and go back, and Lauren, it will now go over the difference and when you are using your, sharing your playlist with students using the Google LTI assignment option.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Move this around. Okay, let's see. So the Google LTI option is a brand new option. It's another thing that I'm super excited about in addition to the rich content editor. So let me go ahead and first show you how you would set up an assignment with Google LTI. And when we say Google Assignments LTI, when you hear LTI, that essentially means that the tools could talk to each other. Learning tool interoperability. So some tools don't play nice with Canvas, some tools do. And with this is another way that Google can play nice with Canvas and that they can integrate a bit more seamlessly. So when I go to assignments and click new assignment, rather than, as Amy clicked, Google Drive using the external tools, I'm going to go ahead down to the external tools on submission type, because we're not just going to show a Google document or Google slide for them to view. What we want to do is actually have them submit their own copy of it. So that's why we go down here to submission type, and I'm going to click, make sure this is on external tool, and click find. Now this is super important because you're going to see so many things that say Google. You want to hit the one that says Google Assignments. It says you can collect, analyze, and grade student work with the Google Assignments. Again, this is the one that's at LTI. It'll integrate with SpeedGrader and allow them to have their own copy of the work. Again, so not just viewing, have their own copy. Oh, okay, so it worked for me there. I'm going to click continue. Go ahead and share this. And when I click continue, this screen pops up. Now, here's a new feature that the LTI includes, and this is a plagiarism checker. You may have seen this in your Google Classroom. Now you can use it here, so I can turn this on if that's something I'd like. I would then choose the file that I want each student to have a copy of. So I'm going to click attach. Maybe I put the playlist in that I want them to use for the week. I add points that I want it to be worth, possibly a due date, and then if I'd like to add a rubric, I can do so as well. I'll click create. And let me go back to the screen to share. And now when I click save, I have to name it. So playlist, sample. Now when I go here, I see the teacher view. I've assigned an assignment using the Google LTI. Here's the file that I attached, and I can see that no students have submitted it yet. Let's go ahead and take a look what this looks like on the student's end. So if I'm the student, I go to my assignments and I can see here's that reading playlist. And I previously did this one, so you can see an example. And I can see that I already submitted it. I did this assignment. And I can open the assignment. And here is my playlist. And again, each student got their own copy of this playlist. So here's the student's playlist, and you can see they edited it here. They said, oh, see below, I put work in here. Here's a link to my copy of this assignment. Here's a link to my benchmark assignment. And they highlighted the boxes for the assignments that they completed. So they edited it, and when they were done, they submitted it. Now on the teacher's end, let me go ahead and share this one. We'll toggle back to the teacher's end. Let me go to the one that I already created. I can see that that student submitted it. When I click on it, I can see their work. So it's kind of similar to SpeedGrader. I can flip through my students. I can see, and again, I only have one student here, who submitted it and who has not. On the right-hand side, I can give them a grade that goes right into SpeedGrader and overall feedback. I can also have a comment bank, so very similar to Google Classroom. If there are comments that I continually use over and over, check for run-ons, please take a look at this again. I can add comments in automatically from my comment bank. I can also use the suggesting mode where I might say, add things in here, or great job. I can also add in comments. There are many ways that I can give feedback within here. And when I'm done grading, so maybe I put 100 out of 100, I put my feedback in. When I'm done doing that, I can hit return.
Just take this.
And the student will be notified that their work has been returned to them and they can view that grade. So if I was to toggle back to the student and go to my grades, I could see my grade that I got for this, any feedback or comments that my teacher left, and look at it from there and see that. So again, they talk to each other a bit more. You have to get a copy for each student. You have those Google Classroom features where you can leave feedback and you can return it to that student all within using that SpeedGrader feature in Canvas.
So there are a few things I want to go over from the chat because there are several questions coming up.
Okay.
So when we are using the Google LTI, Lauren, do you know, I know that within the Google, when you use the Google LTI, there is a plagiarism check that is separate from Turnitin within Google. So what happens is students will also have it on their end where they get 3 runs through their work. So they can click it for, I think it's called originality. It will go through their work and then it will tell them, okay, here's what came up. So students can also see it as well as you can. You can check it for originality of the work. Lauren, do you know, can you attach a rubric within Canvas when you're using the Google LTI, or does your rubric need to be attached through Google Assignments?
You can do it either way. I believe so. So I would have to go edit my assignment details. And I believe I would have to put it in through here. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, they both integrate with SpeedGrader. We can get back to you on that one, but I believe you should be able to do a rubric through Canvas or through Google Assignments. We'll have to double check on that one.
Yes, and then here are some advantages when you are using the Google LTI. Just like in Google Classroom, it puts it in a folder for you. So if you want to see where students are in terms of their work, you can go into your Drive, open that folder, and you'll see students' work as they are completing it, even before they have hit turn it in. So when students go to turn in their work, they will see a button that says turn it in, and they will click it or submit, and they turn in the assignment. So some other questions came with the video links. So this primarily is for students or teachers who are at the primary level. If you link a video in your playlist that goes to a YouTube video, it will be blocked. You need to put that video in Canvas Studio or embed the entire video. If you are at the middle school or high school level, this doesn't impact you because middle and high school students do not have the same filter.
Correct. If I was going to put a video I wanted them to watch in this playlist, it would have to be a video embedded in a Canvas page or Canvas Studio rather than the direct YouTube link. If I embed the video in a Google slide and share with them, it still will not work. We have tried that because the content filter created by Poway won't recognize it. So it has to be in the Canvas Studio or a Canvas page. Any other questions, Amy, about the LTI integration assignments?
I think we're good right now. I'm just going through the chat, so go ahead and keep going.
Awesome. So again, big features of this, it integrates with SpeedGrader. Each student can make their own copy and you can see their work as they're going along. And just again, those two tools talking to each other, easy way to give feedback. So that's another way to go about this. And this last one here is with modules. And I'm going to go over a module today that if you would like the link to it, it's the bottom of this slide. So let's go ahead and look at modules. Now I have a playlist module template up here, and I'm going to just take a second to explain what a module is if you're not familiar with it. I like to think about the module as your folder, right? Sometimes we give students their playlist work. Let's say we're giving them a playlist for a week. Maybe we just give them a little bit each day to complete. Whereas sometimes I might staple those papers together of assignments and activities and different things to do and give them that whole packet or put it all in a folder. So this is kind of that folder of organization. So anything that I created in a playlist, I might throw into a module or a folder just for organization. Now, there are some features of a module that teachers do prefer, such as pacing. So I can set my module. You can see I have everything in this folder for their playlist so that they have to complete certain things in a specific order. I might unpublish and then publish things. So let's say in this playlist, I don't want them to do this just yet or see it. I can unpublish some things. Maybe I want them to do some other things in the beginning of the week, and then on Wednesday, maybe I publish this. So there are some features of the module that teachers really prefer for that organizational piece. Another great part about the module is that once they start going through it, so let's say I open that first thing, they can continue to click next to get to that next piece of the playlist. Now, there are many ways you can set up your module for a playlist format. Let's go over this first one. So this first example, which is linked in that Google slide, is you would put your playlist template up here. So you give your directions. Then there's that content acquisition. Maybe you give them something to read, to watch, to discuss, or maybe all three of those, or maybe you just give choices. An opportunity to practice it, and then kind of that show what you know exit ticket, and then possibly some feedback. So this is just one way that a teacher organized her playlist for students to follow along. If you like this format of a playlist, again, it's linked on the slide, and you can import it directly into your course. And I'll just take you a bit closer look. You would maybe put your objectives here, your agenda, the directions, reminders, videos for help, and then they get started. Maybe they read something here, watch a video here, a discussion board here, right? They might discuss what they read or watched, their demonstration of understanding. And I like how this teacher did their demonstration of understanding here, because she gave them several options. So you could demonstrate your understanding. Maybe she puts by recording a screencast, or answering an essay question, or doing a drawing, right? She puts her options for demonstration of understanding here, all within the same assignment, so that it doesn't mess up in SpeedGrader. So no matter what, even though there's different options for submission, each student still has to complete this assignment on this assignment page. Okay, let's go ahead back to the modules. So again, this is just one way you could set up your playlist, but there are many other ways you could go about this. This teacher, for her Unit 4 playlist, set it up rather than going through each step chronologically. She set it up by points. So complete 25 points worth of activities and the reflection. So you can see she gave points to each activity here, and they can pick and choose which ones they do. Now, as Amy said earlier, if you are using the grader feature within Canvas, it would look as if students didn't complete certain assignments, right? If they chose to get their 25 points from these two activities down here, it would look as if they didn't complete these. So just keep that in mind if you're using the Canvas grader feature and you're doing module playlists, that it might look as if students aren't completing certain activities. So again, like this teacher did up here, she put all the choices in one assignment so that it didn't mess up that SpeedGrader, right? She just put all those options for submission in one assignment. So again, Canvas is awesome for all the different ways we can do things, but it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? So we're presenting these examples for how you might set it up to best meet the needs of you and your students. Any questions about the modules playlist, Amy?
I think we are good. Just a few questions that I want to go over that I'm seeing come up in the chat. So one of which is when you are looking at if you're choosing modules versus Google LTI or embedding your playlist, again, a lot depends on the age of your learners, right? So if I have a high school classroom, I can probably choose any one of these options, where some of these options, excuse me, for elementary might be a lot for them to handle, lots of clicks. So if I was thinking, okay, I am in a first grade classroom, how am I going to manage this with my personal students? My choice would be, I'm going to use the Google LTI option. I'm going to have it make a slide deck for each student. And on every one of those slides is going to be the assignment, so students can work through that on their own. It's made a copy for them. All they have to do is hit turn it in or submit at the very end. The other thing I want to go over is if you are using the Google LTI, you cannot use a rubric from Canvas. You're only using your rubric from your Google tools. I just got confirmation on that one. So that's something to remember if you decide to use the Google LTI. Also, we will be sharing all of these templates within Commons. So those will be in there. So if there's something you like, and we did give credit to if we did not create the playlists ourselves, you'll see we kept the individual's name who did create those. So all of those will be available for you within Commons. Again, if we missed any of your questions from the chat, please repaste those in there so we can make sure that we get to those.
And I'm just looking at the questions as you were discussing, Amy, and thank you for getting clarification on the rubrics there. So it's really personal preference of where you put your, if you do your playlist on Google Slides, if you do it with LTI or just embedding it. And it really, you have to think about what would you do in your own classroom if you were physically there? Would you just post it on the board for students to view and complete, right? Because then maybe you don't want them to get a copy, or would you actually give them a copy for them to check off what they've done on the playlist? And in your own classroom, when you're physically there, it is a personal preference of how you want to organize things. Same thing in the virtual classroom. Would you prefer students get a copy so they can mark it up or maybe add their work to it? Or would you rather them just view it and submit their work separately? Amy, you mentioned a playlist for littles. And again, we have to think about the amount of clicks that the littles are doing, and we want to have as few tabs open as possible for them. So if you did want to do modules as a playlist for littles, here's an example. And it's in chronological order here rather than a pick and choose order to make it simplest for students. So maybe a parent would help them get set up for the day. They'd click on their first assignment, and then we would model for the student that after you watch the video on this slide, you always click next when you are done, right? Here are my voice directions, because maybe I'm not a fluent reader yet, so I listen to those directions. When I'm done with this page, I click next. So organizing by time rather than content can be helpful for those youngest learners, as they can just kind of work their way through in that order. Any other questions before we move on?
Yes, Lauren, do you mind just going over a few quick things
Sure.
for me? Just kind of some tips and tricks real quick. Can you show how to embed a little image when you're doing the modules?
You mean the emoji?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
and
here,
go ahead.
When I hit edit, so I hit these 3 dots to the right of the name, you can see there's an emoji there. What I did is I did a right click if you're using a mouse, or if you're on a computer that has a trackpad, I just clicked with 2 fingers. And then I click emojis and symbols, and I can choose the one that I want. And then you can also indent it, so it's a bit more organized here. So you can see this was just a title of the content acquisition area, and then everything indented are things that they have to do there.
And then do you mind just reviewing when you're making assignments, how to add voice directions?
Sure. So when I'm in an assignment, let's make a new assignment. With my new rich content editor, I can go over here to media, and I'm going to click upload or record. Rather than drag a file of something I previously recorded, I'm going to go up here to record, and I can choose to just do my mic, turn off the video, especially if you're just giving directions, or I can choose to have myself in there. I'll click start recording. Click the play button to watch the video below. When you're done watching the video, click next. Click finish. And maybe these are directions I want to use over and over with my students, right? Maybe I ask them to do this a lot. I might say video module directions, so I can reuse it on other pages. I click save, and it's automatically in there. So in the beginning of the year, I would teach my students the expectations of when you see this at the top of the page. For our littlest learners who cannot maybe read yet, I click the play button and I will hear those directions. And then I would just click save. Oop. And that is there.
So there's some questions in the chat regarding if you can use the Canvas video, the Canvas directions with a Google embedded slide deck or doc. And if your Google Doc or slide deck is embedded, you could add directions before it. So explaining how they will complete the playlist and submit their work.
So if I went to my external tools, I added something, and I'm sorry, I apologize. You cannot see the box that popped up, but I'm going to click something from my Google Drive. I put this in here. Here's, let's say I want them to view this playlist. What I can do, oops, is just do directions here. View the playlist and attach the work you completed. So I can still add directions even though I've embedded a playlist there.
Yes, and even when you are embedding the playlist with your directions, if you did want to make it more visual, you could add a picture before it. You still have all of those options when you are embedding a playlist within your Canvas assignments or page. Lauren, can you show again what the YouTube upload looks like with the new RCE piece that is added?
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and edit this home page. So anytime there's an external tool that we want to embed in here, I'm going to go to this plug picture, and then I pick the tool that I want. So I'm going to search for YouTube. I can drop the link in, so you can see I've copied links in the past, or I can just search for a name. Parts of a flower. I find the one that I want, or again, I'll show you what the link looks like. I find the one I want, and I can just click embed, or I can choose the size that I want. I'm going to do medium, so it's not too big in there. And then here's my video for students to view. Any other questions or things we can go over, Amy?
I think we are good. Again, if for some reason, Lauren and I have not gotten to your question yet, it means it just got lost in the chat. So if you don't mind, just please putting it back in there if we were not able to get to it yet.
Deanna, I noticed your question about making it bigger. When you click embed, again, you just want to click large, and it should be about as wide as that screen is there.
And then when you embed into YouTube, there are two different ways. So you don't have to do both. So if I am a primary teacher and my students do not have access to YouTube, you can, one, embed the way Lauren just gave the example, and that will give the student the actual image of the YouTube video. Or two, you can put it into Canvas Studio, which means that you can actually link the YouTube videos to pictures or directions.
So I'm going to go ahead. We're getting questions about the difference. If you're still a little bit maybe unsure of Google LTI versus Google embedding, we do have this slide here, slide 9, where you can see the differences, right? Essentially, Google LTI makes a copy for each student. Embedding it is a view only. We can't say one is better than the other here. It's kind of that personal preference. Would you usually project your playlist on the board for students just to view, or would you usually make a copy for them? If you just want them to view it, I'd say embed. If you want them to be able to have their own copy, I'd say Google LTI. You could put an image and link the audio directions to it, but it would have to be a different audio recorder. You couldn't use the Canvas audio recorder. So if you're using it the way that I showed you, it's going to pop up like that. There's no other way to go about that, I do not think. We can take a look at that. edit. So if I wanted to, let's say, link it to this picture, the audio directions, see course links. No, I cannot link it to any media. You would have to just put it in the way that I previously showed it.
And the rich content editor, if you switch over, it will be seamless, of course, on the students' Chromebooks. They'll see the same features and are able to use it just as easily as they were able to use the old RCE. It really is just your personal preference.
To answer this question, when you're doing a Google assignment using that LTI feature, again, it's different from if we look at this slide here. It is different from that embedding it, just putting a Google Doc or Google Slide in there. And Google Docs and Slides work with both of these. So I can assign or embed a doc or a slide. So that, again, is just a personal preference.
So somebody is asking about the storage limit with Canvas Studio. This is something that we are working with them at the admin level to see if there is a way for us to be able to curate videos and store them at the admin level. So I don't have an answer yet to that.
Tori, to answer your question, when you use that plug, when you click that plug, which you can see on the picture here, that when I say you're using it through the apps, that is embedding it into the Canvas, where Studio is something different. We showed that in a training yesterday. So you have two options for sharing YouTube videos with young learners. You can embed it, which again is hitting that plug for the apps, or you can do it in Canvas Studio. So embedding it and the apps are the same thing.
And yes, Veronica, to answer your question about the videos, there are certain sites that are blocked by our filter. So I would check those to see if they're blocked. To be safe, I would probably, I mean, you know that Khan Academy videos, some of those are not blocked. So other sites, I wouldn't be able to say yes or no. So I would just play it safe. And if you're unsure, I would put those videos into Canvas Studio or embed it within Canvas.
And for questions regarding importing, I did share that module on that previous slide. Directions on how to import it are on this last slide. You just click here, import a template from Commons. It's the same directions for importing a module from Commons. You just click that module instead.
So as a reminder, just to go over, I don't think we really discussed it during this training. I think it was our previous one. Think of a module as kind of your file folder for that unit. So your module is going to hold either all the pages and assignments within that unit of study, or it could be a module could be all of the work that you're assigning the student for the week. So kind of think of it that way, where it holds everything together. I hope that helps to clarify.
And I just want to answer this question that just came up. When we're talking about embedding, having to embed a video for young learners, we're just talking about YouTube. You don't have to embed it if, let's say, it's a Loom video, something you recorded yourself. You could just put a link to it. However, if you would like it on that actual page or on that assignment, you could embed it, but it does not have to be embedded unless it is a YouTube video. So I hope that clears that up. And then I do have a question that was asked to me privately about the apps. So you can put a link to something. Let's say I'm using a tool that maybe is not in here, like ThingLink is a tool. I can link it here to the assignment, thinglink.com. And if I clicked this, if a student clicked this, it would open up in a new tab. So linking things is different than embedding them. Embedding them means they live on the page. Linking it means I just simply click it and it opens in a new page. The LTI option, so again, when those apps talk to Canvas, this is the list that we have here so far. Certain school sites do subscribe to certain tools, such as I know some schools pay for BrainPop. So that might be an LTI in here if your school pays for that. However, some schools do not. So if my school does not pay for BrainPop, this LTI will not work for me. Your school would have to purchase that in order for it to work. So you'd have to enter that code. So if you're not sure if a tool or a website that you use is an LTI capable with Canvas, you can always look here at the apps and see which ones are listed. If there's an app that you've heard works with this and it's not on that list, that might be something that you have to add in your settings.
And you can, when you are grading students' work within Canvas, you can provide audio feedback. You can use Khan Academy videos. I was giving that as an example of something that is not blocked. Sorry if I did not clarify that correctly. Let's see. All of the templates that we're going over, so this course that's kind of housing our different examples, will be in Commons. Lauren, what is the title? It's just playlist in Canvas, so when they search in Commons?
For this course?
Yes.
The course is not in Commons. It's just view only as of right now.
Yes, but we're going to, when we put it into Commons, what will the title be?
We can just make a playlist in Canvas, that's fine. And it does take a while to upload there, so you just have to give it a minute. If you just want access to the module though, that is in the slide deck. Let me go ahead. If you want to just view the course, you can click here. If you want to upload that module template that I was modeling, you can click there and import it to your course. And then later today, if you search in Commons, so we can open up Commons here. If you searched playlists in Canvas, right now random things come up. However, the one that we create will be in there.
Yes. I'm not sure about Vooks. Lauren, have you heard of that? I have not, so I wouldn't be able to say if that's blocked or not. I'm sorry, Shauna.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry, I was answering a question.
Vooks, V-O-O-K-S. Do you know if that's blocked? I have no idea.
Let's take a look. It depends if they use YouTube for their videos. So even if there's an alternate site, such as like Storyline Online is a popular tool for elementary, their videos are still YouTube, even though it's on a different site. So as long as their videos, and I think I'd have to subscribe to log in, as long as this video that I want to show them is not YouTube, I wouldn't have to embed it. I could just link it.
And then as for the benchmark LTI, we are still working on that. Benchmark is on their end. So what will happen is you will be able to use the assignment feature and have the benchmark assignments pop up rather than having them go directly into benchmark. So I'm going to have to hop to another training. So if we were unable to get to your questions in the chat, please again feel free to reach out to us.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone. We appreciate all the hard work that you're doing to prepare for this virtual school year. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email that EdTech address. Thank you.